Today is Friday, August 27th. Welcome to this edition of Nevada County Now. Today's episode, we're talking fire, recall, COVID, and more. This episode is brought to you in part by Stifel Financial, and also the generous donations of viewers like you. Thank you. Hello and welcome to Nevada County Now. I'm your host, Cole Pettit. There was another close call with fire this week, this time in Grass Valley, specifically the Whispering Pines, Brunswick area. The Bennett Fire began Wednesday afternoon just after 3:30 p.m. and quickly grew with several spot fires present. Once again, though, our various fire and emergency service agencies jumped into action with an aggressive, coordinated effort to contain the blaze. Over 7,000 people were either ordered to evacuate or were given evacuation or shelter-in-place advisories as a result of the Bennett Fire. But by just after 5 p.m., Air Attack stated that they had the fire almost surrounded with retardant lines. By 8 p.m., most of the evacuation orders had been lifted and the fire was 70% contained. Truly incredible work. As of the latest update, the Bennett Fire is now 80% contained. It burned 59 acres, and thanks to the work of our firefighters, no structures were destroyed or even damaged. As a community, we continue to see increased spread of COVID-19. Our overall total now sits at 7,011 confirmed cases, 729 cases are currently active, our hospitalizations increased to 32, and we've had another 4 deaths this week, increasing our total to 85. With more on the COVID situation, as well as additional news from the county, here's Taylor Wolfe, Public Information Officer for the County of Nevada.
Good evening, everyone. For today's Nevada County update, I'll share the latest on COVID-19 and recent wildfires. COVID transmission in Nevada County continues to be at record highs locally, with 400 or more new cases each week in August. The spike in cases results in ongoing record levels of COVID-19 hospitalizations at Sierra Nevada Memorial Hospital. Those who are hospitalized are mostly unvaccinated individuals, and some are otherwise healthy younger people. This week, Nevada County Health Officer Dr. Scott Kellerman amended his health officer order to include a cap on events larger than 2,500 attendees and testing or vaccination requirements for events with over 500 people. This is in addition to the recent update mandating masking in all indoor public spaces and outdoor crowded spaces for all individuals, regardless of vaccine status.
It's called a mandate. It's called a health order, officer order. But all we're trying to do is encourage good behavior. You know, charity one's neighbor means that you're not passing this virus on to somebody else that's close to you, loved ones, neighbors, friends. And so how do you encourage good behavior is essentially the essence of this mandate. And although it's called a mandate, what it is just getting the people, I think, to do what is right. We may have different opinions about how masks work or immunizations work, but if we're going to get behind this pandemic, we have to be good neighbors. And so this just encourages people to be good neighbors.
We're hoping that if people follow this order, that it will help decrease the spread. And that's what we need in order to protect our healthcare system. Because it's not just the people who get sick with COVID-19 that suffer, it's everybody else also. If all the beds in the hospital are full, and if the emergency room is backed up, if you have a heart attack or a stroke, what's going to happen to you too? So we really do have to protect our healthcare system in order to ensure that everybody has access to healthcare, not just people with COVID-19.
COVID testing is at a recent high, with the Grass Valley COVID testing site administering over 1,000 tests last week. The site will be increasing its hours to include Saturdays in addition to its current weekday hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And over 90% of people getting tested at the Grass Valley testing site are receiving their results within 2 days. If you are experiencing COVID-like symptoms or have had a COVID exposure, book an appointment at lhi.care/COVID testing. Amidst record high transmission and hospitalizations locally, there is good news on COVID-19 vaccines this week. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved the Pfizer vaccine on Monday for ages 16 and older. The vaccine still has emergency use authorization for ages 12 and older from the FDA as well. Nevada County also surpassed 60% of eligible residents fully vaccinated this week, with over 70% with at least one dose of the COVID vaccine. Residents can make their COVID vaccine appointment at myturn.ca.gov. On the heels of the Bennett Fire in Grass Valley this week, preparing for wildfire is a vital topic in our community. Make sure you know your zone, are signed up for Code Red emergency alerts to your home and work address, and have supplies ready for public safety power shutoff events. Find more preparedness information at readynevadacounty.org. This Tuesday, President Biden approved a California disaster declaration, including Nevada County, for the recent river fire in Colfax in early August. This declaration will open up state and federal recovery assistance opportunities to help cover some public and individual losses. Residents can find fire recovery information at readynevadacounty.org/riverfirerecovery. That's it for my Nevada County update this week. Stay tuned for an update on the recall election from Mary Jane. Find all this information and more by subscribing to our weekly newsletter at mynevadacounty.com/Nevada County News. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks, Taylor. As Taylor touched on, the California recall election is currently underway. To tell us more about it, we've got Mary Jane Hunegart, our political correspondent, who's making her return from a well-earned vacation. Take it away, MJ.
Hello, Nevada County. Nice to see you again. Cole, thank you so much for the vacation time. Back to business. Let's talk about the recall election. Recall attempts are actually very common. California is one of 20 states, plus DC, that allows for the recall of its governor. There have been 179 recall attempts in California since 1911, when the right to recall was added to the state constitution. And since 1960, nearly every governor has faced one. Usually, of course, they don't go anywhere. You have to get enough signatures on a recall petition to equal 12% of the turnout in the last gubernatorial election to authorize a vote, which is a tall order in a state of 40 million people. But this time, enough people signed, and there is actually going to be a recall election. Note that the only other time a recall election happened, Arnold Schwarzenegger replaced Gray Davis as governor in 2003. The first question on the ballot asks if Governor Newsom should remain California's governor. The second question asks who, of 46 candidates, should replace him. If more than half the voters on the first question say Newsom should remain, then Newsom stays. If not, then whoever gets the most responses to the second question becomes governor. The latest polls show that about 49% of California voters want to keep Newsom, while 48% want to remove him. And the front runner for a replacement is Republican talk radio host Larry Elder, with 19% support. Coming in a distant second is YouTuber Kevin Paffrath, with 9% support. A federal lawsuit was filed against the recall, stating that the recall provision violates the Equal Protection Clause of the U.S. Constitution by allowing sitting governors to be replaced by candidates who have received fewer votes. Plaintiffs want a court order either prohibiting the recall election or adding Newsom's name to the replacement candidate list so that a vote to keep him in office could actually count as a vote for him over the other candidates. If you'd like to learn more about the historical recall election, you're in luck. The League of Women Voters of Western Nevada County is partnering with Nevada County Media to present a Q&A on the recall featuring Nevada County Registrar of Voters Gregory Diaz and Assistant Registrar Natalie Adona. It will air live at 6 p.m. on August 31st here on Comcast Channel 11 and on Nevada County Media's YouTube page, where it will also remain available for later viewing. Submit your questions to education@lwvwnc.org or at facebook.com/lwvwnc by August 30th. Early in-person voting opened August 16th at the Rood Center, and the vote centers in the community will be open starting September 4th and running through the September 14th election. For answers to voting questions, visit the Registrar of Voters website at mynevadacounty.org. It has been my privilege to bring you a brief piece on a local political issue. If you'd like to see a slightly longer version of this piece, with a few more details, look for it on NCM's Facebook or YouTube page. Email me at ncnpolitics@gmail.com to comment on this piece or suggest a topic for a future segment. Remember, when it comes to politics, if you're not at the table, you might be on the menu. Thanks for staying informed, Nevada County. Now vote, vote, vote!
Thanks, Mary Jane. Yesterday, the CEO of the Nevada County Fairgrounds, Patrick Eidman, announced his resignation in order to pursue a job opportunity out of state. His resignation will go into effect September 10th, 2021. In a press release, Patrick said, "This was a very difficult decision. I'm enormously proud of our Fairgrounds team and all that we've accomplished during my time as CEO, from a record-setting fair in 2019 to adapting to the challenges brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, to repeatedly serving the community as an evacuation center during times of emergency, and most recently, hosting a successful 2021 Nevada County Fair under enormously challenging circumstances. The Fairgrounds Board of Directors will commence a search for Eidman's successor." The Nevada City Film Festival begins today. Due to the ongoing pandemic, they've decided that in the interest of health and safety of our community, the socially responsible thing to do is to cancel all in-person events. The online streaming portion of the 21st Annual Nevada City Film Festival will continue and run through September 12th. The public can screen 80-plus independent international award-winning short and feature-length films. Tickets are $8 per film or short program, or buy the entire festival pass for $75. More information is available at nevadacityfilmfestival.com. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we are incredibly grateful for the men and women who make up our firefighting and public safety teams. We're blessed to have such dedicated people who put their lives on the line to keep us safe. And some local students feel the same way. They've submitted artwork and messages of thanks to our brave firefighters that is currently being displayed at the Rood Center. We'll leave you tonight with a montage of this display. And remember, stay safe, take care of each other. We'll see you next week.